Jerome, in his commentary on the book of Daniel chapter 7, says, with reference to the little horn which has a mouth speaking great things, that it is the man of sin, the son of perdition, who dares to sit in the temple of God, making himself as God. Number 5. The Fathers held that the Roman Empire was the let or hindrance referred to by Paul in 2 Thessalonians, which kept back the manifestation of the man of sin. What then was the view of the early church? Look at the words of Tertullian. Quoting Thessalonians, he says, "Now ye know what detaineth that he might be revealed in his time, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now hinders must hinder until he be taken out of the way. What obstacle is there but the Roman state, the falling away of which by being scattered into 10 kingdoms shall introduce Antichrist, that the beast Antichrist with his false prophet may wage war on the church of God." In his magnificent apology addressed to the rulers of the Roman Empire, Tertullian says that the Christian church, not himself, Mark, but the Christian church prayed for the emperors and for the stability of the Empire of Rome, because they knew that a mighty shock impending over the whole earth, in fact, the very end of all things, threatening dreadful woes, was only retarded by the continued existence of the Roman Empire. Read the words of Chrysostom in his commentary on 2 Thessalonians. One may first naturally inquire what is that which withholdeth, and after that would know why Paul expresses this so obscurely. He who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. That is, when the Roman Empire is taken out of the way, then shall he come. And naturally, for as long as the fear of this empire lasts, no one will readily exalt himself. But when that is dissolved, he will attack the anarchy, and endeavor to seize upon the government both of men and God. For as the kingdoms before this were destroyed, that of the Medes by the Babylonians, that of the Babylonians by the Persians, that of the Persians by the Macedonians, and that of the Macedonians by the Romans, so will this be by Antichrist, and he by Christ. Then, accounting for Paul's reserve in alluding to this point, he adds, because he says this of the Roman Empire, he naturally only glanced at it and spoke covertly, for he did not wish to bring upon himself superfluous enmities and useless dangers. For if he had said that after a little while the Roman Empire would be dissolved, they would now immediately have even overwhelmed him as a pestilent person, and all the faithful as living and warring to this end. From Irenaeus, who lived close to apostolic times, down to Chrysostom and Jerome, the Fathers taught that the power withholding the manifestation of the man of sin was the Roman Empire, as governed by the Caesars. The Fathers therefore belong to the historic and not to the futurist school of interpretation. For futurists imagine that the hindrance to the manifestation of the man of sin is still in existence, though the Caesars have long since passed away. Number 6. The Fathers held that the fall of the Roman Empire was imminent, and therefore the manifestation of Antichrist close at hand. Justin Martyr, for example, one of the earliest of the Fathers, in his dialogue with Trypho, chapter 32, says, "He whom Daniel foretells would have dominion for a time, times and a half, is already even at the door, about to speak blasphemous and daring things against the Most High." Cyprian, in his exhortation to martyrdom, says, "Since the hateful time of Antichrist is already beginning to draw near, I would collect from the sacred scriptures some exhortations for preparing and strengthening the minds of the brethren, whereby I might animate the soldiers of Christ for the heavenly and spiritual contest." Number 7. The Fathers held that the man of sin or Antichrist would be a ruler or head of the Roman Empire. A striking illustration of this is the interpretation by Irenaeus and Hippolytus of the mysterious number 666, the number of the revived head of the beast or Antichrist. Irenaeus gives as its interpretation the word Latinos. He says, Latinos is the number 666, and it is a very probable solution, this being the name of the last kingdom, for the Latins are they who at present bear rule. Hippolytus gives the same solution in his treatise on Christ and Antichrist. Number 8. The Fathers held that the Babylon of the Apocalypse means Rome. On this point they were all agreed, and their unanimity is an important seal on the correctness of this interpretation. Tertullian, for example, in his answers to the Jews says, Babylon, in our own John, is a figure of the city of Rome, as being equally great and proud of her sway, and triumphant over the saints. Chapter 9. Victorinus, who wrote the earliest commentary on the Apocalypse extant, says on Revelation chapter 17, The 7 heads are the 7 hills on which the woman sitteth, that is, the city of Rome. Hippolytus says, Tell me, blessed John, apostle and disciple of the Lord, what didst thou see and hear concerning Babylon? Arise and speak, for it is sent thee also into banishment. You notice here the view of Rome which banished the Apostle John is the Babylon of the Apocalypse. Augustine says, Rome, the second Babylon, and the daughter of the first, to which it pleased God, to subject the whole world and bring it all under one sovereignty, was now founded. In chapter 28 he calls Rome the Western Babylon. In chapter 41 he says, It has not been in vain that this city has received the mysterious name of Babylon, for Babylon is interpreted confusion, as we have said elsewhere. It is clear from these quotations that the Fathers did not interpret the Babylon of the Apocalypse as meaning either the literal Babylon on the Euphrates, or some great city in France or England, but as meaning Rome. And this is still the interpretation of the historic school, though for the last 800 years events have proved Babylon to represent Rome, not in its pagan, but in its papal form.